watching the It's Her Time podcast with Cody and Jess. Welcome back to the It's Her Time podcast. I'm excited for today's episode because I get to introduce you to a holistic health practitioner and functional nutritionist named Reed Davis. He is an expert in the field and has trained thousands of people to become functional nutritionists. He founded FDN, or Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Certification. I'm going to have more information about this for you if you are interested in becoming a functional nutritionist. This might be the path that you want to follow. But this episode is going to be all about talking about the right tests for us to understand what the root cause of all of our disease is. And we're going to talk a lot about, is it really all about the gut? We're going to dive into how we can find out what is really happening so that we can give you the right tools and the right path towards healing. But before we go into this episode, let's go into a Mixers Girls Say.
On today's Mixers Girls Say, we're actually going to change things up a little bit. And for those of you listening, we're just going to explain to you our Mixers brand video that launched a few weeks ago that has been absolutely incredible and is really touching the hearts of many women.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you watching, you're actually going to enjoy it right now. So here we go.
You guys, we have a couple things to do before we go. Wait, hang on.
The point of our Mixers brand video this holiday season was for women all around the world, honestly, to know that Mixers sees you and recognizes the amount of effort that goes into creating any sort of holiday magic. And something that was really special for the two of us was that our team really took this project under their own wing and really surprised us, even though they're not mothers.
Right.
They surprised us with the emotions that they were able to so clearly depict that so many women feel throughout their lives. We recognize that women hustle and run around trying so hard to create the many memories that families want to experience through the holiday season. And sometimes that effort can go unnoticed by many, and that can be really hard on women. But something that Mixers definitely recognizes is that women are drastically impacting their households, their friendships, the interactions with many around them. And we hope that through our brand video, you can see and feel for yourself how Mixers appreciates each and every one of you, and that you are, in fact, making an incredible impact on so many. So if you want, also, the link is in the bio. You can go and watch it again. You can share it. It's been going around social media and has really been an amazing message this holiday season. So go and enjoy it.
Mixers is a company made for women by women. Each of our products have been carefully and lovingly crafted to support you in all stages of your life, providing you with the optimal health you deserve. Each ingredient we handpick is 100% all natural, backed by science, and chosen specifically to better your life physically, mentally, and hormonally. Each product empowers your body to take charge of its monthly hormonal shift and flows, empowering you to live life to the fullest. Let Mixers take care of your needs from sunup to sundown, and you take care of the rest. Check us out at mixers.com, MIXHERS.
Well, ladies, I am so excited. If you couldn't tell in the intro, I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to have our guest on today, Reed Davis. He is a wealth of knowledge. He, as I shared in the intro, he is going to help us to be able to understand so much more about how our gut health is related to so many areas of our life, our overall health. It does matter, what is going on in the gut. So we're going to dive into all kinds of things together. We're going to see how this conversation flows. But first, I just wanted Reed to introduce himself to you so you girls can get to know him just a little bit more. And this is going to be fun. So Reed, tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with you and the ladies, as you call them. Even when I started in the late 90s is when I got my first job in a clinic, and it was a wellness clinic. Wellness, it was alternative. People were coming to us when nothing else was working. Mm-hmm. So they'd probably been to the conventional, been told maybe nothing's wrong with you, even.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You've heard that before.
Oh,
and then,
yes.
or it's your thyroid, here's your pills, or something else. But it was mostly women. It was just, they just seemed to care more about their health, and do something about it. They get, when there's an owie, they want to find out, well, why is that? And it actually results in living longer than men, because they take care of their boo-boos and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. So
we're a little more proactive. Okay. That's
I
great.
commend women for caring more and for doing more about it. And it doesn't mean I don't help men too. But yeah, I started back in the clinic. Now, I had come from another field. Actually, it was in environmental law. So I was saving the whole planet, the air, birds, water, trees, bees. And I recognized how badly some of these things were being damaged by the environment. Mm. And I started wondering, well, what about people?
Yeah.
And what about me? Am I going to get deteriorated this way and break down and have something bad happen to me all of a sudden? I didn't know, and I didn't want it to happen. And actually, at the time, though, I had never been to the doctor. I didn't know what it was like going and being told nothing's wrong with you and here's your chill pill and things like that. Right. The only thing I'd ever been to the doctor for were some injuries. Was very active sports. I mean, you name a sport, I played it, and some you wouldn't even think to name. And motorcycle accidents. And I know you and your family do some motorcycling. So every now and then you take a spill, and it adds up in the body as stress in various areas. But other than that, and a few trips to the dentist, I'd never really seen a doctor, so I didn't know. And when people started coming in the office, again, I just switched gears. I said, well, I'm going to help people. And I started talking to my son's chiropractor. And he was a high school athlete at the time. And we just started talking. And I was like, yeah, I really want to work, add chiropractic and wellness and nutrition and all of these things into my scope of knowledge and maybe even business. Mm-hmm. And it worked out phenomenally. I mean, I spent the next 10 years working in that office, helping people. Mm. And I had a lot to learn, Cody, you'll get this.
Yeah.
But I had a lot to learn, but I didn't have anything to unlearn.
Yeah. Which I think is huge. I love that statement. Yes. I love that. It's so true. I feel like so many times when we go and we seek out help, we trust so much the things that our doctors are telling us that is wrong with us and all of this. And so we get all of this information that's not always serving us, right? It's not always helping us to be able to actually support our body's own healing processes. And so, yeah, I feel like so many times we have to do this whole unlearning. And a lot of the doctors, I started back in the late 90s as well. And I remember a lot of the doctors that I was working with were very they were very, very skeptical of anything that I had to show or talk about as far as like how nutrition and lifestyle could help to support healing. It was like, I was just this woo-woo person out there that was just selling snake oil. And, and it was like, finally, I'm seeing now, here we are in 2022, the end of 2022. And finally, I'm noticing, and I appreciate it. I've noticed that more doctors are open-minded and understanding that there's more to our health. And if we can take a holistic approach, it's more beneficial for all of us. And so I see that they're more open-minded, but it's true. They do have to reverse a lot of the learning that they maybe either were taught in school or just through experience or just from other colleagues, et cetera. Yeah, I agree.
Yes. And a lot of it's still 20 years behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say that because I know how much doctors care about people and how they want to help, but their training and knowledge and experience, it's all dictated by what's called reductionism.
Mm-hmm.
So it's breaking the body down to one problem, one part, one fix, and that's what they do. So if you were in let's say you had some gastrointestinal, some GI, heartburn, bloating, gas, indigestion, diarrhea, constipation, you had something going on, you'd probably get referred to a gastroenterologist.
Mm-hmm.
And he might apply his skills and medicines and things to that area, and you might feel a little bit better, But as soon as you say, I've also got this going on. Maybe it's your periods or your fertility or something. I'm a gastroenterologist. This is what we do,
Mm-hmm.
and for that you're going to have to go see an endocrinologist.
Right.
Or if some other problem, it would be a neurologist. Some other problem, it could be a proctologist. I mean, for God's
Mm-hmm.
sake. So
all these different specialties. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that probably assuages that physician's conscience to some degree that he's doing what he does. And the fact that it didn't help you
Mm-hmm.
doesn't bother that person because they're doing what they do. Well, this is what I do. So their consciences are assuaged. And yet I would find it very difficult to have any joy in that kind of practice. But this is how they make a living and it's what they do. So what did I do differently?
Yeah.
Well, number one, since I wasn't a physician, I had no training in that. I, again, had nothing to unlearn. But I was hearing this constant story over and over as I went to work in this clinic. And I went in to be really kind of the business leader. I was very good at that. And I did some marketing and things. But the owner of the clinic said, hey, if you want to go, she was going to get her diplomate in nutrition added to her licensure, which is very cool.
Yeah.
She said, you can go with me to all my classes, weekend webinars, whatever it is, and you can work on my patients in between.
Okay.
And now you can imagine, that's a heck of an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you'll get a certificate as a certified nutritional therapist. And the cost of entry is going to be, you have to do my homework on top of your own.
You're like, great. That's a good
no
plan.
Problem.
Yeah.
Hey, I know how to apply myself. So I said yes. And you could say the rest is history from there, because that's when where the rubber met the road, actually working one-on-one, face-to-face, trying to apply.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we already had chiropractic and acupuncture and massage. There had been some nutrition there, but I hadn't been there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started working with clients one-on-one, her patients, the other doctor's patients, it changed my entire life. And I just really got into I saw the tears. People, men, women, mostly women, as I said. But eventually, as we started getting amazing results, and I'll tell you how we did it, but they would bring me their husbands and their children,
Mm-hmm.
So we became this amazing clinic. After 10 years, I was considered one of the most successful of my type of practice. I was the nutrition guy.
Yeah.
Who ran labs
Mm-hmm.
out of this office. And that running labs is what I'm going to tell you about. But it really, my life began. And what I do now is what I dedicated myself to 23 years ago. And I was up riding my motorcycle one day, thinking about the folks at the clinic. And two things occurred to me. One is that the cycle of trial and error they were trapped in, just going from one practice, just looking for answers and spending a lot of money. But I thought, what a ripoff.
Right.
People are just really getting ripped off. The medical system that tells them there's nothing wrong with you, that's a ripoff. The one that says, oh, here's your pill for one thing, that's kind of a ripoff because there's always something else going on around it. Always, 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 always. And oh, well, that's a different guy. You're getting passed around from one person. So that's a ripoff. And I don't know if it was the same motorcycle ride or another one, but as I was figuring this stuff out, but I said, you know what? I will be the last person they need to see. And I didn't know how, but things like that don't stop me.
I love it. I love it.
So, and what happened, now I'm going to go into the real story is that I was lucky enough to be in that situation where the doctors trusted me, and they knew my heart, and they knew also I had a brain. I'm a good R&D guy, and I can put things together. I started running labs. I just had access to these alternative labs, quacky
labs. Exactly.
Well, back then it was called alternative. And in 23 years, I've seen it go from alternative to complementary. Complementary is integrative. Integrative turned into functional medicine. Yeah. And I've got my issues with it. I'm glad about that. But I have my issues we could talk about if you want.
Sure.
But I started running labs, and no one ran more labs, to the point where after a few years, we're having miracles. And I can tell you about some of them. A lab that I used a lot called me and says, who the hell are you? Like, what, how do you run so many labs? You have how many doctors? I said, I'm the only one running labs with your lab.
Right.
And I said, you run as many labs as any other 5 doctors we have. Me. Yeah. How do you do it? I didn't even know that I was doing that. Yeah. I just loved what I did and applied my learning skills and things like that. So it started occurring to me after almost 10 years of, again, having these miracle cases and building our reputation up. I just did it to be a good clinic and to be a good practitioner. Someone said, a lot of people said, you need to be teaching. Think of the number of people that you can help. Right. If you train others to do what you've developed in your office there. So that's how I started teaching. That's what I do now. But it really started back in the day in the clinic. I never forget my humble beginnings, so to speak, when I was learning. And we're always learning, still picking up things. There's lots of other cool people in the industry that I work with, but being there and grinding it out, excuse me, I was able to figure out some patterns that were very, very common that no one else seemed to be looking at. Right. And my another thing, and I don't know if I was out riding my motorcycle when I figured this out. I love to ride and just be out and clear my head, and I meditate and things like that. So I like clearing my mind and seeing what occurs. What comes out of the universe, so to speak. There's some woo-woo for you.
No, I love it. I love that stuff. Yep.
So that's the way it works, I thought, why are these people, our patients and my clients, why are they putting their health in someone else's hands? Right. And so my very early on job became to put control back in one's own hands. I want my health. And, look what's happened over the last couple of years. If someone else wants control over your health, they will take control over your health. If you're not proactively taking that control, it will be snatched from you.
Yes. That's scary.
You agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. That's my experience as well. And so I'm just with you, everything that you're saying. Same experience.
So everything I started doing was getting data, running the labs. And this data is yours. And anyone can do this now. We've set it up so that anyone can get these labs done, these quote unquote alternative labs. We use saliva. we use urine, we use stool, we use blood, of course. And we've looked for what are called healing opportunities. Remember, people coming to us, they've been to 6 practitioners or 8 or 10. They've had a lot of diagnoses that just were wrong or didn't help, even if you wanted to label some little thing. And I'll give you an example. So this lady comes in for about her 8th visit for chiropractic. And I was also trained in myofascial therapy. So I would walk patients back and do some trigger point therapy and talk to them and put a heat pack. And then the doctor would come and adjust them if that's what they were getting adjustments. So call her Susan. She comes in and her head was down and she was just sad. It wasn't like her. I said, what's the deal? You know, what's going on today? Oh, I'm just so upset about this weight. It's just so frustrating. You know, Reed, I'm 40 pounds overweight. And it's been going on for a couple of years because of this medication I'm taking for the hives. And before I could say anything, she's like, and you know, I went to the doctor the other day, Reed, and I told the doctor, you know, I'm really frustrated with this 40 pounds extra weight. And I know it's the medication that I'm on for my hives. And he said, according to her, lady, you can be fat or you can have the hives. Take your pick. And then, so I kind of knew why she felt so bad. But then she goes, and you know what he said, Reed? He goes, well, because I told him that was very depressing. That's very depressing. And he said, well, I can write you a prescription for antidepressants if you.
Oh, yeah. Sounding it out like candy. Like, yeah, here you go. That'll solve all things. Let's just mask that symptom. Let's not look into it a little deeper at all. No, I know it's very frustrating. Yeah, I hear you. Keep going. I don't want to interrupt because I love.
No, that's good. But, so I just want to tell you that this happened. I can't tell you how many times, but hundreds of times in the office over a 10-year period. I said, well, Susan, why didn't you ever look and find out why you get the hives?
Right.
And her head snapped around so hard, I thought, boy, you're not going to need your chiropractic adjustment today. You know, you just. And what do you mean? You know, that's long story short. We can test. We got some kits here. We'll send you home with the kit, and you can try to look. At least look. And sure enough, after we got her test results, gave her some foods to avoid and some lifestyle changes. Not a lot. Within 9 days, she was off her medication.
It's amazing.
Within another week or so, she was going to the gym and working out to a sweat and taking hot showers. And she didn't tell me until then. She goes, Reed, I haven't had a hot shower or worked out to a sweat in 2 years because even on the meds, I get the hives.
Yeah.
So no more hives. Hot showers, working out to a sweat, no medication, nothing like that. And losing weight, another couple of weeks go by. She told me she lost 13 pounds already. So fit. No, so how did I feel? Amazing. How did she feel? Life-changing.
Right. So grateful.
And I could just think of all these stories of that. So after 10 years of that kind of success, our clinic is doing well. I'm doing really well. I'm pretty happy. And people were telling me, and I started realizing if I would train others, the system that I developed, you know, running certain labs and doing certain protocols, then look how many people we might help. And so today I have 4,000 people I've trained since 2008 in 50 different countries. And we're helping tens of thousands of people, something I never could have done by myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. I'm just plugging along, training. And it's the other amazing thing. I'll just finish with this. What I didn't know is the kind of community that, you know, FDN, we call it FDN. It stands for Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. I had to call it something that occurred to me. Great. Now we're stuck with it. But FDN. So FDN is known around the world. I have practitioners all over United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, England, especially, but lots of other places. And we're helping tens of thousands of people. And there's this community of us. It's like an association. We actually formed a postgraduate support program because the first class I ever had, was in 2008. It was only 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
If I put some word out, hey, I'm teaching this thing, 20 people signed up, and some of them are still doing it. But then they wouldn't go away. I didn't know there's going to be this go forth and multiply. I said,
Right.
no, go do what I trained you to do. It doesn't work that way. So now we have this amazing alumni that continues to support each other, that we continue to support. And it's again, mostly U.S. and the countries I mentioned, but we're everywhere.
It's amazing. And think of all the good that is happening because of this, all because you were seeing a problem and you weren't willing to just take the answer of like, well, this is just how it is. It's instead you wanted to look for some of the root causes of all of this disease that so many people are suffering with all of the time. And I love that, the listeners to this podcast, I know they often are asking, they're frustrated because they've gone down this exact same pattern that you've just described that so many people go through. It's most of the people that I worked with in my practice, I get it. It's very common. And so they're looking for people like you or like me that are out there that can help them to be able to really listen and then just to keep asking questions and be like that detective for them, with them, to help them to be able to kind of rule out some things and kind of like what you're describing. A lot of times I call it like throwing spaghetti against a wall. That's a lot of times the approach that they've been kind of taken through. They just kind of throw a little something here, a little something there, see if it sticks, see if it works. And they become frustrated and it can become very depressing because they feel like they're just stuck in this state of dis-ease all of the time. So I love that there are these tests out there, and it's so important for us to know that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of doctors out there that will not recommend these tests. A lot of times you'll ask for tests and these doctors will say, you don't need that. That doesn't tell us anything. But there are amazing tests that are out there. And as I always say, it's always better to test than to guess. Like, let's find out. There's these tools that we have available to us and practitioners out there that know how to use them, know how to read them, and know how to take the information that we can get from these tests and be able to apply them to your life. So not only do we know the what and the why, but now we know how. Now we know how to like make your life be able to work with the information that we've had so that you can help support your body's own healing processes. So I love that. I feel like this is amazing that there's over 4,000, functional nutritionists out there that you have helped to train that are out there ready to, help people. So I would love to connect our audience with like ways that they can connect with these types of practitioners and what they should be looking for, what they should be asking for, things like that. But before we get into all that, because obviously we'll have all of this information in the show notes as well. But I would love for you to kind of share with our audience what are some of these functional tests that you often run or recommend for people when they are experiencing things like skin issues, or there's so many things we could go into, but skin issues, digestive issues, things like that.
Well, I can tell you exactly which tests we run as our foundational review of healing opportunities, multiple healing opportunities. And, in my webinars and seminars, in my courses and classes and things, I do a lot of demonstrating of how the body actually works and how it breaks down over time, all beginning kind of with stress. Now, I know most of your audience members probably have heard that word stress before.
In every episode, I bring up stress. So yes, they're familiar with it, but we want to know what we can do about it. Yes, so keep going.
Yeah. Well, stress, when you first think about it, could just be your kids, your spouse, your finances, your job, your something that's affecting you mentally, emotionally, and it's stressful, and there's anxiety, and there's sympathetic overload. You get into that fight, flight a lot, and all that sort of people look at that as stress. And the body has direct physiological responses to that in order to protect you. The body's designed to survive. And so cortisol will go up, and you end up in this catabolic state where your body's actually breaking down because of the amount of cortisol you're producing. It's hard for the counter regulatory hormones to maintain balance with that.
Right.
We already just mentioned the nervous system. You're more into fight flight. That's called your sympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest, starts taking a back seat. So you start getting these imbalances right away. And it doesn't matter. Here's the other cool thing that it should be no news to your listeners, but all of that mental emotional stress, the physiological response is unavoidable. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Your body will break down in various ways. We can go into the various steps, things that it goes through, like gut dysfunction,
Right.
and other things. The sex hormones obviously get out of balance too. Estrogen, progesterone. Periods get funny. Your testosterone can go down. You have no sex drive, and you can't build muscle tone, and fatigued and things like that. So we could go but it starts out with that stress. But your body doesn't really care if it's that kind of stress, the mental and emotional, or if it's like what I have is aches and pains from injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So I have both knees, both shoulders, neck 3 times over, low back, mid back. And I've just got a very well used body, let's say.
Right.
So again, from sports and really just having fun is what I call it.
Right.
And so, but the body responds the same way. You get the physiological stress response to aches and pains and injuries and things. And, you can't let them get chronic is the problem. Just like that stress. So you avoid chronicity in a problem, you avoid chronicity in pains, you go get it fixed. And the other one is huge.
Mm.
And it's where I started. Remember where I started? Environmental law and cleaning up the planet and conservation, these kinds of things. So the amount of chemicals and stressors in the environment is unbelievable. It's quite a load, and it happens to everybody, and you can't avoid it. You can mitigate, and yes, we can work on it. And yes, there's some good answers in that area too. But that chemical stress, and then the biochemical inside your body makes toxins. Your body creates waste products, and obviously has to eliminate them. So that's a lot of different types of stress.
Right.
So
no
you
wonder.
You wanted to ask about labs?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you have to understand that as the body's breaking down, there are markers you can get from saliva, urine, stool, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to get the data.
Right.
My first thing, obviously, I'm going to get to know a client. I teach a very thorough medical history, lifestyle history, and onboarding kind of a thing. And then we run the labs and we get the real data.
Right.
Are the hormones, the immune system, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and the nervous system, that balance. So that spells hidden, what I just said.
Okay.
Hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system, hidden. And these things are generally hidden, and hardly anyone's looking for them to the degree that we would. And by the way, all of this multiple healing opportunities that we find in the labs, there's just 5 labs I would have someone run, a couple of questionnaires and things, and we talk. And we those multiple healing opportunities all have to be dealt with at the same time, because they're crashing into each other and having an effect upon each other. That's something I noticed even today. I don't hear in functional medicine or anywhere else the effect these things are having on each other. So physicians, even functional medicine practitioners who are bound by their licensure, that's what regulates them, not the market.
Right.
They're bound by these codes and standard of care and things like that. So they're picking one thing out. It never works, not to the same degree as looking at this multiple healing opportunities, how they're affecting each other. In other words, kind of connecting the dots.
Right.
When people talk about connecting the dots, I've seen it out there because I'm out there a lot, conferences and workshops and you name it, summits and things. And they're just using the sounds like method. Well, it sounds like thyroid, and they check thyroid and they connect those dots, but not really with the rest of the person. And so this is a very comprehensive intake and data collection. And who owns that data? You ever get a lab report from a doctor without asking for it? Never.
Yeah.
Because they think they own the data.
I know.
For them to control and regulate and distribute, piece out as they see fit. No. All of that data belongs to you, the person. Remember, one of our goals is to put people in control, not
Right.
let anyone else have control. I don't want to be in control. I want to show you all of your data and teach you what it all means.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of as in you teach a person to fish,
Right.
you feed them for a lifetime. So I've been an educator from day one. Oh, look what's on this test.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? It explains why you feel so lousy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these type of tests. The physician says, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head.
You're
Take a
in
chill
normal
pill
range.
or whatever."
Yeah.
You know, so we're going, no, look, out of
Uh-huh.
balance, out of balance, out of balance. You know, overstimulated, underactive,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Too much of this, too much of that. You know, and it gets pretty deep. We get pretty darn deep. Again, when you look at hormones, the stress hormones and the sex hormones and your sleep hormones and a bunch of hormones. You look at the immune system,
Mm-hmm.
overactive, underactive, and a lot of that's in the gut. This is what leads us to the gut, by the way.
Right.
Because so much of your immune system's right there. We measure SIG-A on our first test. Secretory IgA, it's a major immune system marker. Hormones, immune, digestion. Are you breaking down and absorbing
Mm-hmm.
food? Is it getting assimilated into your body properly?
Right.
And we look at detox, and other markers are in there in that test. But detoxification, how's that liver work?
Mm-hmm.
Not is it diseased like
Right.
hepatitis or cirrhosis or whatever. Is it functioning to the level that it needs, or is it congested?
Right.
You know, now I don't know a lady that hasn't changed. Well, today it's different. Bothers me a lot, actually. Some ladies probably don't know how to change the bag in a vacuum cleaner because they don't have a bag anymore.
Nope, not so true.
But in the old day, and I still think the best vacuum cleaners have a bag, ladies. But because you can remove it and put a new one in, and it's like a brand new vacuum cleaner.
Right.
And then we've all done that. Oh, it's not working. What's the problem? Oh, change the bag, put a new bag in this thing. You know, we all change the oil filters in our car and things.
Right.
So you understand that the liver makes stuff and it changes things,
Mm-hmm.
but it really is a filter for bad things. You know, it's supposed to clean you up. Now you also have the other parts of the detoxification systems are your lymph all throughout your body, the colon, the skin's a detoxing organ, your lungs are a detoxing organ, kidneys are a detoxing organ, and so on. But we measure this liver. So you got hormones, immune, digestion, and assimilation, detoxification. How's that liver do? And then you have energy production, because you don't have to teach your cells what their job is, do you?
No.
Cells have an innate intelligence.
Yeah.
It's the same intelligence that put the moon where it is and the sun where it is and the universe how it is and things like that. There's an intelligence in every cell. If you fuel it right and don't feed it any crap, it will produce energy.
Yep.
That cells they all produce their own energy through mitochondria. And then they do their job and they know what their job is, whether they're a brain cell or a muscle cell or what have you. So energy production becomes a really huge part, HIDDE. And then N is that nervous system balance. It's the sympathetic versus parasympathetic. And some people, almost everyone today, is out of balance, but one is stronger than it should be. You're dominant, and you see so much dominance in the sympathetic. They need to strengthen their parasympathetic.
Right.
More rest and digest. Or they call it feed and breed. You know, eat and have a good time. So you get these are the 6 areas that over a 10-year period I discovered that not only I could measure, and it took me a while. For the first 2 years, all I tested was hormones. So I know women's hormones.
I love it.
But then you go on to what about their immune system and digestion? So this system kind of evolved over time. And we just had more and more success because not only is that data yours, but it's yours to act upon.
Right.
First of all, it explains why you feel crappy when no one else can. Take a chill pill. And it leads directly into how do I fix it? What do I do about it? Remember, that's the control that we want to put back in people's hands. We want you to, we don't have something to sell you for each one of those things. We have a holistic lifestyle pattern
Right.
and habits that you can now, by the way, you should be highly motivated.
Yeah.
Getting the data is very motivating. Oh my
It
God.
is.
No one ever showed it. I thought I was just going to have to take those damn pills the rest of my life. Well, no, unless something's really broken in medical, which is, I'm not going to say rare, but it's not as common as you think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it's your DRESS. So that's another acronym for you.
Okay, I love this.
So obviously, what does D stand for? Obviously, that's your diet.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
R is rest. E is
exercise.
Exercise.
Is it? Am I right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two S's, DRESS, is stress reduction.
Okay.
In all its forms.
Yeah.
Needs to be sorted, and supplementation. I don't have my own supplements, but I know a lot about them. You have a line, and you will need supplements because food isn't good enough, and it doesn't. You find ways to affect things, but in a holistic way, you're going to eat right according to your metabolic type. And if you don't mind, I'll just tell people, go to mtdiet.com and read the book Metabolic Typing Diet by Bill Wolcott. I mean, that's just a good tip for anybody. And mtdiet.com. But there's a genetic, there's a diet that will, remember energy production? HIDDEN. How are you going to fix that? The right diet. The right ratio of protein, fat, and the carbs, the vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, antioxidants, and trace elements, and phytonutrients. And your body genetically requires these things, so we can, and it requires your protein, fat, and carbs in certain ratios. There's a perfect ratio for you,
right?
So you can dial that diet in, and you're going to feel a lot more energy. You're going to really have no cravings. You should not crave. You should be perfectly satisfied by each meal, however many you eat. And you're going to have a sense of well-being. Food actually, if it's the right fuel mixture, should leave you in your natural state, which is some degree of joy and happiness. So all that can come from energy production on a cellular level, joy and your satiation and no cravings, and your energy to get your work or your play done and think through things and all that stuff. And as the other things are working right, hormones are balanced, immune system is not over or underactive. It should hover and be ready to kill things or get rid of them.
Right.
The digestive system, you're actually breaking down your food. People spending all this money on organic food. And it's not really being assimilated properly.
Right. Yes, that's a huge one.
Detox, of course, is just critical. You might say it goes without saying, but we say it because we know what to measure. So we have all this data that tells us all these healing opportunities, which flows naturally into the correct self-directed therapies. Well, and so you live where you're really your own master. And that's the total goal, is to put people back in charge.
And that's so hopeful. I think that's so hopeful. And I don't think that's a message that enough people are hearing and understanding and feeling. And that's my whole mission too, is I just really want to empower each of the listeners and anybody that I can, have contact with, just empower them to know that they can be their own best health advocates. And the people that they bring into their life, the different practitioners and doctors and things like that, are just part of the team. But I love that you're emphasizing that we own this data. We are the ones that are going to know best actually what our body needs, and being able to tune into those gut feelings and that intuition. Also, I feel like that's so important for us to tap into and be empowered with understanding that that's powerful too. And so I love all of this that you're sharing.
Thank you.
I mean, we think alike. Yes, for sure.
Well, you pick. Yeah, I'm just going to jump in and say one thing you just said about intuition and asking the patient or client, what do you think is wrong?
Right.
You'd be amazed if you just listen, which is another thing I know a lot of practitioners are accused of not doing.
Right.
Like what do you think? And sometimes we go way back in history. And well, tell me more about that. Let's go back. When was the first time you ever felt that way? And you'll see people, the light bulbs are going on in their head that they created some of this mess.
Right.
And as much as our job as health coach practitioners and health detectives is to uncover obstacles to healing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those obstacles are lost in the mind and emotions of the person. So we have coaching skills in addition to just our applied sciences
Right.
and making up stuff. So we know how to interview people to get to underlying causes that are lost somewhere in an experience that you had in the past.
Yeah.
That we will never discount.
Right.
You know, it could
So
be when you
true.
were a kid, could be 40 years ago. And ever since then, you know, but you kind of forget about it. You normalize it. You get told nothing's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your chill pill and stuff. So we do care about those complexities
Yeah.
of the what's lost in the mind and emotions as a causal factor. It's just something else in the healing opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, with the labs, we look at the HIDDEN, but there's much more to being a practitioner and health detective than that. But that's the science part that people sort of love to hear about.
Yeah, I love that. But yes, it's so important to know all of it. I mean, when I'm working with a client, I want to go all the way back to their birth. I want to know, was it C-section? Was it vaginal? I want to know. This can tell me so much about why there might be some gut dysbiosis. Did their mother breastfeed them? Were they on several different types of antibiotics? You know, did they have surgeries? You know, were there things that happened, you know, that could have caused trauma? There's all of these things. And so when you are looking for somebody to join your team as a practitioner, these are things that are important. They do need to understand the science, but they also need to be able to listen and to be able to hear your unique story, because we are all unique. There's not just one. I mean, there's protocols that we can use, but it will sometimes look different for each individual because we are all bio individuals, right? And so I love that you understand that and that you teach that as well. I think that's something that's so important to understand. I mean, you talked about how amazing our life could be, how amazing we could be feeling if we can just kind of figure out our own unique code in a way, and then feed our body what's important for our unique body to eat and to there's so many ways we can feed ourselves, and to how we should live. And so I think that's what you're saying is that, yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that could be considered a perfect diet, right? But it's what is perfect for you. And so finding somebody that can help you to discover that. And these tests can help us. They can really, really kind of save us a lot of time in a way, you know, like by just finding out what's going on. Let's look at the science, but then let's look at also your life experience. Let's look at your current situation. Let's put the pieces together here and let's start building a plan that's unique for the individual. So,
well, you hit on one of the most important precepts. Matter of fact, that might be number one precept, is that we're all different.
Mm-hmm.
They call it in the field biochemical individuality. I think that's 12 syllables. We're all different. You know, and
yes.
and we require different diets. Even two kids, you feed both your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So one is a couch potato, and the other one is, can't sit down for 2 minutes.
Right.
You know, why is that? Because they're different. And you're feeding them the same, giving this all the same input, whether it be from, you know, whatever it's from, all the epigenetic factors, and kids are going to respond differently, and so do we all.
Right.
It's really a good precept to make sure we put in there.
Yeah, it is. There's not a one size fits all. And I think that's where we sometimes come up like with a lot of frustration because we're told that there's a perfect diet. We're told that there's a perfect exercise plan. We're told that there's a pill that can fix everybody. There's there's so many things that are just put out there like blanket statements that they're meant to just help all people. And when it doesn't help us, then it's very frustrating because we feel like then we're just doomed. You know, we're just doomed. There's no hope. It's us. There's something wrong with us. And so I get frustrated when I, hear these stories and I see the tears and all of these things as well. I just want to help them to understand that, no, that's not true, that there is so much hope that if we can just understand what is going on with our own unique life, our own unique bodies, then there's so much that we can do. It is possible. Our bodies are so amazing and they are designed to function optimally. And if we can just get out of our own way a lot of times, then They will. They will. And sometimes when we have been living so long, feeling so unwell, we forget what it's like to feel well. And so when we can teach people how to like, I love I love the healing opportunities. I love that term, by the way. That's amazing. When we can show them that, and give them these opportunities, it's such a positive approach. That's why I love it so much. Then they can start tapping into that. And then all of a sudden, like the lady that you were talking about before, 9 days. How long was she taking that medication for, for her hives? But in 9 days, by just taking advantage of some of these healing opportunities, she started feeling in a way that she never even probably knew she could. It's just like a whole other level. And that's exciting and so rewarding, when you can help be part of that for people. It's not always us that's doing it. It's the things that they go and do. They learn from us, right? And then they go and apply it in their own lives. That's the thing, is that they need to remember that they are the ones that are doing the work. They're the ones that are making these changes and supporting their own body's healing. So I love this. It's a fun conversation. There's so many things. I mean, we do want to talk about gut health, and we have been. I would love to know what are some of the things that you love to encourage people to do? Are there some things that they should be absolutely incorporating into their life, whether it's with diet, whether it's with lifestyle, supplementation, all of this to support overall gut health?
I don't want to say unfortunately. I'd rather say fortunately there's a formula.
Yeah.
Fortunately. For some people, unfortunately, there's at least 5 things you get. There's no one thing. There's no one diet that's right for everybody.
Right.
Anyone that says so is just wrong. Mm-hmm. They're selling you something.
Right. So can I stop right there, though?
Yeah.
So how do we know what is the right diet? Is it trial and error, or is there a way that we can find this out?
No.
Okay.
So you begin with your genetics, but you don't have to do a genetic test.
Yeah.
You begin with your ancient ancestors, and this could take a while to explain. I'm not sure we have the time, but metabolic typing is the science of what's your native diet. Because everyone talks today a lot about paleo and the ancestral diets, and they're right. Ancestral diet is a good place, but which one?
Right.
Because the Bantu natives of Africa eat only protein, very little fat. There's nothing growing there, so they have domesticated cattle for milk, which is fat and protein. There's a little milk sugar, I know, but then they eat animals that they catch and kill, trap and hunt and things like that. And if you look at the tribe today, where it's not been infiltrated by crap, they're perfectly healthy. You look at the beauty, and their skin is as black as the area around my screen here, around this Zoom call. They're really and shiny and no blemishes, and their eyes are clear as a child's, and they are healthy and they can procreate. They have babies like this. Just that's the deal. And so they're really, really healthy. Their teeth are clean and white and straight. They don't have headaches. They don't have depression. They don't have, unless Western, we'll just call it Western.
Right.
Crap flows in, even though a lot of it's made in the East. But so they eat that, and they're healthy, and they have active, long lives. There's old people, and they're not diseased. And then you could take the Quechua Indians of South America, the Andes tribes. They've never been below 8,000 feet in their life. They live in where the air you'd have a hard time breathing up there.
Right.
And they're very healthy, and they're different. They look completely different. They are completely different. And they eat a lot of corn and potatoes. They're sort of witch doctor, if you will. The village doctor prescribes a different potato for each little ailment or something that might pop up, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not saying they're sick, but something comes up, and so it's a different world. And that's the understanding that one must have to understand the right diet for a person, the metabolic typing, because it isn't just the ratio of protein, fat, and carbs, as I mentioned. It's the soil that they're grown in, or that the animals they eat are eating the food that's grown in that. So there is because we need vitamins and minerals, essential fatty acids, trace elements, and antioxidants, and all these things that basically are very geographically dictated. They're dictated by the geographics of that area. So that combination of copper and potassium and sodium, and you name the mineral and trace element, my God, tons of. So that's what makes them perfect. And the Quechuan Indians in the Andes Mountains, and it's a whole different ball game in terms of the geographical and climate controlled environment, what they eat from. That's their sustenance. That's really what keeps them healthy or makes them sick, is their diet, not excluding accidents and weirdo stuff.
Right.
Neighboring tribes, for instance,
Right.
But so now how do we apply that there is a perfect diet for you? It's going to have the right ratios of protein, fat, and carb. That's always a good place to start. And you have to know what to look for in health signs of good health. But then there's the trace elements and the micronutrients. So you have your macronutrients, your micronutrients. And it's very interesting how you can sort that out. First of all, there's the metabolic typing test. There's the book, Metabolic Typing Diet. There's the website, mtdiet.com. You can take a test. It's an online test, and it asks physiological questions and dietary questions, even psychological characteristics, things like that. And you get a starting point from there. You get a starting point. And then you can eat that way, protein, fat, carb, and judge. I just said a few moments ago, your sense of well-being comes from food. Your sense of energy and abundance, and are you well fed? Can you get to the next meal without pooping out and your brain going dead and things like that? And then, of course, so we have energy, satiation. You shouldn't be craving anything,
right?
Like nothing other than if you do, it was the meal that needed the adjustment, not the snack, not the Snickers bar. It's just there's even these protein snacks and all these gluten-free and paleo friendly, right? It's all a bunch of crap that you could have satisfied everything at breakfast or lunch. I particularly don't eat a lot of breakfast, and it's because neither did my ancestors. My ancestors, I'm talking 500 generations.
Yeah, I was wondering how far back we're going. Yeah.
500 generations is a good place to start. Not grandpa or great grandpa. So they got up before dawn and went hunting.
Right.
They didn't sit down to some bacon and eggs and toast and cereal.
Pancakes and
pancakes. No, they got up with their spears and their bow and arrow, and they went hunting. And they hunted until they captured or caught or killed something and brought it home. And if it took 2 days,
right,
and neat, so that's the deal. Now they would come home to where the women had gathered and kept the babies happy and whatever stuff like that. But so I don't eat a lot of breakfast because my genetics dictates that that's not right for me.
Right.
So not only is the ratio of protein, fat, and carbs right, have to be right, which is the easiest thing to control. The trace elements and minerals and vitamins, all the micronutrients, those are also important. So it's which proteins, fats, and carbs. Nothing in a bag, nothing out of a box. Everything has to be natural. My wife and I grow our own food.
Amazing.
The way I was raised up in Canada. I live in Southern California now, where it's easier.
Yeah.
And we order our meats online and these kind of things. So you can get it right if you work on it. And so and be able to get up early with your spear.
I love it. Yep.
Go kill something. My wife and I prefer to walk without the spears, but we do have coyotes, we have mountain lions, we have bobcats, we have lots of deer, we have rabbits, we have foxes, we have other critters you can imagine. It's really quite remarkable. So I'll just quit babbling there.
I love it. No, that's good. I'm with you on that. No, that's so great. I think that's just important to understand. And I love that. And so going back and kind of paying attention to your ancestral diet. And a lot of people don't even know what that is, but that's where these DNA tests and things like that can come in handy because they can tell you, they can trace you back to where you come from. And I know sometimes we're a mix of many different, ancestral
That's the
backgrounds.
problem. It has to be a functional metabolic type because we are mixed. I mean, no one's pure anything.
That's true.
Unless you go to middle of Africa or, South America or Canada. I actually grew up in Canada where there are First Nation people. And guess what? They're all sick.
I know.
Because they're eating, call it white man food if you want. They're eating garbage brought in by the miners and those that have encroached on those areas, which we would generally consider uninhabitable. But that's where the native flora, fauna comes from. The streams and rivers up there are abundant in fish. They have caribou herds that take 2 hours to cross the road. There's lots of natural diet, but they're being told by the government and sort of what's going on with, again, these mining communities to what to eat. Tim Horton donuts. That'll satisfy you. Well, it doesn't. It leaves them craving, and they get sugar addicted, and then they get diabetes, and they get suicidal, and blah blah blah. This is all known stuff. This
tragedy.
Is not theoretical.
No, it's happening. My son lives on Kodiak Island, and he deals with a lot of this as well. And so, it's a tragedy, and it's not just these, people, but it's you can see a clear look into seeing what a difference, a diet can make in their health. Here you have these people that are living in an environment where all of the things that are meant for them to nourish them are available, but convenience often takes over. And that's so true for so many of us. I love that you say that you grow your own food and you try to eat nothing from a package or a box or anything like that. And you are very particular with where you source your protein from, your meats and things like that. I am like that as well. I can't say I grow everything because I live in Utah and I don't always have a growing season all year round. But the more we can do this, the more we can kind of simplify things a little bit more and just think, let's try to eat as whole as possible. If it came from the ground or it has a mother, oftentimes these are the right choices. We don't have to overcomplicate, what it is that we should be eating. Just try to eat as clean. I hate that word actually, as whole. That's a better word, as possible. And your body will, it'll respond in a positive way. It'll respond accordingly. And you will start feeling like that energy, that lack of brain fog. You will start to notice things like hormonal imbalance start to regulate again. You'll start sleeping better. All of these things will start functioning because it's really what the body wants to do when it has the right tools, when it has the right building blocks. And so it's so important. Diet is really where it comes from. There's a lot of things too. And I know we're going long, but with our lifestyle feeds us as well. Our life is our medicine. I love to say that often, but it is so true. The way that we associate with people, the way that we feed our, creative side, the way that we reduce our stress, these all things, they're all ways that we nourish our body and they have a huge impact on our overall gut health. The other thing that is so important too is knowing that even if you do all of this that I'm talking about perfectly, it's still probably not going to be enough, unfortunately, because of the soil, depletion and all of these things. So that's where supplementation can come in and be a huge game changer for you because it kind of allows us to be able to fill in the gaps. Some of the nutrient deficiencies that maybe we're experiencing that can often be one of the main root causes of a lot of the disease that we deal with can be helped with supplementation. And so that's where, Mixers comes in. We don't say that only supplementation is the only thing. And all you have to do is take one of our products and you're magically going to be the most, healthy human walking the planet. But really it's just meant to help support, to help give you that little extra support that you need. And so we're excited because we have a new product that's being launched right now called Her Digest. And, it's exciting because it's going to be providing a lot of these nutrients that are so essential. So things like prebiotics, probiotics. We also have things that are helping to help support and heal and strengthen just the gut lining and, and help to reduce inflammation and do all of these things to help just kind of give us that little extra TLC that sometimes we need because of the things that we're exposed to and the lack of perfection. We're not all living up high in a mountain where we're not exposed to, the crap, like you're saying.
More.
Yeah, it's out there.
I don't think it's the place to start, but I think you have to include it.
Yeah.
Again, I start every day really with the mental, emotional.
Yeah.
State of gratitude, being thankful. Huge. My wife and I are always sort of praising something, even if it's just each other. Even each other. We get up in the morning, just like, thank God.
Yeah.
We are so lucky to be here and to be helping other people and walking the talk. And we make a good living doing it too. So, I mean, this is what I invite people to join the FDN tribe to do. The only prerequisites, as much as it's a very robust education, it's everything I learned in 10 years in 10 months. So it's pretty intensive, but anyone can do it because I speak in plain language, the anatomy, the physiology, the biochemistry. So it takes a while to learn, but it's not hard to do. It's got its complexities, but it's not difficult.
Right.
And so there's that. And the only prerequisites if you want to help yourself and others, you're willing to walk the talk. That's it. You qualify.
Love it.
And people have done it just for their own sake. That's worth the price of admission. Or they say, can I actually make a living doing this, helping others? Yes. I'll show you the model. It's fee for services. People will pay you to help them, just like you, Cody, have found your niche and your way. And one hand washes the other. You're doing a lot of good, and you live well, and that's fair. That's a very fair deal. And so I'm glad you mentioned tying it all together. And the supplement, we went over DRESS, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation, and I could do another hour just on that. But
we need to,
have me back.
I will. For sure. No, this has been such a fun conversation. There's just so many good nuggets of wisdom here. And you're an amazing teacher. You can see why people are coming to you to learn this, to learn how to become a functional diagnostic nutritionist. And I encourage all of you women, if this sounds like this sparks some interest and some joy and just gives you a little fire in your belly, this is your body and your spirit telling you that this might be the path that you want to go down. I do receive a lot of direct messages and emails and things like that from many of the listeners and people that follow us on social media asking, how did I get to where I'm at? What was my path as far as becoming a holistic health practitioner and functional nutritionist and so on? And it was doing certification courses like this. And so I always tell people that we need more of us out there. There's a lot. We can't have enough of us out there because really it's an army of us helping each other to be able to understand what our full potential can be. And it's an amazing knowledge, like you were saying, Reed, to have just for ourselves and for our family and those that we care for. But it is an amazing career. If any of you are interested in following through with this and creating a career, the world would be better for it. So I'm excited to share your information in the show notes and so that more of us can start on this journey and join the tribe, right?
Right. Fantastic, Cody. It's been great being here with you. And I hope somebody did pick up a nugget or two, something that was useful that they could actually apply and be the better for it. And then we'd have earned our keep today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's lots of nuggets. So thank you so much, Reed. It's been so wonderful. Hey, ladies, if you enjoyed this episode, we appreciate you guys tuning in. And we especially love it when you share it with the girls in your life because sharing is caring. The more we can get this type of information out there, the more of us can thrive in our lives and the better guests we're going to be able to attract, like Reed on our podcast. And the more we're going to be able to learn, it's just a win-win. So please feel impelled to find that one person or two people and share this episode with them because this is very, very helpful information that we all can benefit from. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. We are putting out episodes every single Tuesday. You can also listen to us on all podcast platforms. It's our mission to go and just spread this information because when we feel our best, then each of us can individually go out and do our best in the world and do the things that we're meant to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to our next conversation next week. Until then, have a very happy and healthy week. Bye.